Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nourish Spot Hour on Caribbean Buzz Radio. I am Dawn Kelly, and I'm super excited to be here with you yet again. Today, I have some lovely guests. Of course, I told you I bring all my friends to the show. And so, to my left, I have Katrina Barr. Katrina is a natural skincare designer, and to my right, I have Tanisha Gardner, who is program coordinator for Volunteers of America. And she'll talk to us more about what she does at the Armory here in Jamaica. So, you know, the Nourish Spot Hour is a new radio podcast where I bring mostly women. There'll be a few good men here and there, but mostly women I bring to the station to talk about entrepreneurship, talk about volunteerism, talk about wellness, all the things that are near and dear to my heart. So we're going to kick off the discussion with entrepreneurship because Katrina, as I mentioned earlier, she's a natural skincare designer, and I would like her to share with you and us about her journey. So Katrina, how did you start in skincare, and what made you think that you could excel at this journey?
I took a leap of faith because I was not able to find what I needed in the stores, and I was tired of having to buy everything and again still having dry skin. So I started out with making the shea cocoa and mango butter mixture combination with the essential oils, and I went to an event and I shared, and I left that brunch with 25 orders, and I was like, oh, okay, this is how you do it, God. And I was just been grateful, and that journey began in 2016. And here we are 3 years later, and I'm on my way to drop off another order now.
So tell us, what do you have here today?
Well, this is the skincare I have for men. This is some, again, shea mango and cocoa butters. This is just a 1 ounce sample size that someone ordered. She ordered 20 of them. I have some for men, some for women. And it could be it's just a sample, 1 ounce sample. It goes from 1 ounce to 16 ounce I make. And I also do deodorants, I do natural deodorants, I do body mist. It all started out back at that brunch I just made reference to. It started out with the scrubs, because I love the body scrubs, but it has no alcohol, it's oil-based. And from the body scrubs, it went to body butters, to body mists, I have roll-ons. It's just taken on a life of its own, and it's been a magnificent journey. And through that journey, I met Dawn Kelly with her journey in the Nourish Spot, and I'm forever blessed.
Well, tell me a little bit more now. I want to know about the deodorant, because I just recently read, I think it was Monique,
Yes.
I saw her online,
Yes.
and she was talking about some of the ailments that women are facing. Okay, but I think when I was hearing her, she was specifically speaking about women and breast cancer, and she actually had some deodorant, something in her hand. I don't remember what it was, but she had something in her hand, and she was really admonishing women to be a bit more careful about what we choose to put under our arms. Now, I'm going to just lay it out on the line. I use Secret. Is Secret not good for me?
Well, again, a lot of those things are chemical based, and you really have to be mindful of the chemicals that we're taking in, that we're putting on, because it does make a difference. And now they're not going to tell you that certain things that they put in there are linked to cancer, but take heed, because you have those things those lymph nodes that are linked to our breasts, and it make you wonder, with men, your diet has a lot to do with it, as well as what you put in your body, as well as what you put on your body. So I haven't been using deodorant I've been doing this for about 9 months. And I started out with myself, and I've shared with my children, my sisters, I've had clients, but this is how it has all started.
So tell me about your natural deodorant. So since we should kind of veer away from the brands that pretty much we've all been buying most of our life.
It's no aluminum, it's no alcohol, it's a spray that I have, and it's no chemicals. It has essential oils. That's like magic. Essential oils. I have it in mint. I have it in a lavender.
Okay.
I can custom make your own if But I tell you, the journey has been. Listen, out of this, God is mind-blowing. He is blowing my mind.
Well, let me ask another question. So how do people, if they want to purchase your products or they want to sit down and talk to you about customizing some products just for them, how do people get in touch with you?
They can go to may@artisanalbyme.com, and they can reach me there, and I will respond. They can go right to the website, Artisanal by ME. And
maybe you should spell that out for them.
It's www.artisanalbyme.com.
Thank you very much. So now we have some other things that we could talk about. Have you done any kind of venture funding? Have you participated in any programs to help you build your brand, or anything to get some additional funding to help push you forward? What are some of the things that you've been engaged in over the 3 years to increase awareness of your brand?
Well, I went to earlier this year, it was an open mic where you got to pitch your product, and let me tell you, I had no idea I was going to be doing this, but I was nudged and by my dear sister, and let me tell you that event, that was with Odyssey Media, and it was just fabulous. I didn't know I was going there to pitch, but in turn, I was mentored, I pitched, and I walked out with a check. And I said, wow.
Yes. So, and then have you shown, are you involved in pop-ups? Do you go to pop-ups?
I've done pop-ups. I had the blessing to be a part of the Circle of Sisters in 2018. And I've done local pop-ups. I've done the Buy Black at my church. It's just, been a journey with the pop-ups, especially with the Circle of Sisters. I just had no idea this was August, I got the email from a dear friend and that made the contact, and by the beginning of September, I was ordering and making products where I was able to go in there and have my product amongst about 25 other skincare persons, and we're talking the bigger names. Yeah. So it was a good day for you.
It was a good day. Well, that's lovely. Entrepreneurship, as you know, I'm new to it myself with the Nourish spot, and I know that it takes a lot of effort, it also takes a lot of energy. So where do you find the energy? Because I know you also work a full-time job. So where do you find the energy to work every day, I know you volunteer, and we're going to talk about that later, but to volunteer and to produce product?
I operate in faith because I just had no idea I had this creativity, but I'm operating in my faith and in the gift that God has given, because if anybody would have told me this earlier in 2016 that it would go from scrubs to body mist to deodorants to body butters, and it happens. And this is my therapy. I go home to work. I go from work to work. And so I can stay up till midnight, get my rest, because I don't need the 12 hours sleep. And I wake up and I'm going to work so I can come home to work.
Mm-hmm. And so you enjoy it.
I enjoy it.
You're watching the Nourish Spot Hour on Caribbean Buzz Radio, and I'm Dawn Kelly. We're talking today to Katrina Barr and Tanisha Gardner, and we're talking about entrepreneurship, and also we're talking about volunteerism, because it's National Volunteer Week. Did you guys know that?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that. You know how I found out? I found out on Thursday because I was honored by the South Jamaica Reads program. They actually invited me to give the keynote speech at my old employer, York College. Now, talk about coming a full circle, right? At the Nourish Spot, one of the things that we're really proud of is that my daughter, she has pushed us to participate and partner with a lot of different organizations in and around Queens. And one of the organizations is South Jamaica Reads and Literacy Inc. They're part and parcel of the same organization. And so because I'm an avid reader, I've been reading books since, well, my mother says I used to read the New York Times when she was reading the Daily News, and I was like 3, but you know, that's what she says. But I've been reading from a very young age because I used books as an escape, you know? And I loved Nancy Drew. Like, I love Nancy Drew. I think I've read every single one of those mysteries, right? Because it showed you, like, the world. She was always going someplace and doing something. So books mean a lot to me. And so when South Jamaica Reads came in through a customer. We have a customer, her name is Deatra Butts, and she actually makes turbans, and one day I'm going to have her on this show too, because she's doing really well with these turbans. They're called La Clutch brand urban turbans, and if you don't have one, you best to get one, okay? So she actually has younger children. And so she was coming into the store regular, and she spoke to me about the program. And so I said, oh, I would love to participate. And sure enough, through her, she brought the people in, and we were doing read-alouds for children, right? And we were feeding them, you know, Nourish Spot goodies, right? And now, every so often, the South Jamaica Reads people will come in with a bag of books. And these books are for me to give away to community residents, to children, teenagers, right? And so yesterday, the most beautiful thing happened. This little girl comes into the store with her mom. She couldn't have been more than, I'd say, 5 or 6, and maybe not even that. And they come to the store often. But she walks in, and I said, hey, young princess. I said, look, because I had just got a whole new stack of books. So I look what I got. I got all these books here. So she went running over to the books. Her mother's ordering her smoothie. And she was like, Mommy, look, right? She said, I really can have one? I said, yes, you can. She picked up a book called Why the Light. And then her mother got her smoothie, and they sat down at the table, and that little girl said, read now. And her mother started to read that book, okay? So that warmed my heart. And so I sent that picture off to the South Jamaica Reads people because that's what they want to see happen, right? So let me just go back a second. So they honored me. I got to go up to York College. I got to deliver this speech, and it was so nice because there was all these other volunteers in the room that volunteer with children to read in different capacities, either through libraries, through stores, through schools. I think there was even one health center that is doing the reading as well. So it was really nice to be honored for that. So, Tanisha.
Yes.
Let's talk to you about the work that you do as program coordinator of Volunteers of America and the Jamaica Armory Women Employment Shelter.
Yes. Thank you for having me, Dawn.
You're welcome.
Again, I'm Tanisha Gardner, Program Coordinator at Jamaica Women's Employment Shelter, located at Jamaica Armory. I happen to be a resident of Jamaica, and I've been in social services for about 24 years, and I've always worked in Jamaica, Queens. Very proud of that. So at my location, what we do is service homeless women through all different walks of life. Some women are registered educators, mental health coordinators. We have women from all walks of life in our facility. They're there because they're down on their luck, short of funds, and they're trying to regroup and get back into society. So at Volunteers of America, at the Jamaica Women's Employment Shelter, what we do is help them find either a more stable employment, or the main focus is getting them housing. That's our main focus. Some of them have lost their homes for many different reasons. So in getting them housing, we just try to see if they qualify for a lot of the city vouchers that the city offers. So in my program, the KEEP program, I'm the program coordinator responsible for housing, employment, and community engagement. So with community engagement, it's my responsibility to get us volunteers. So that's why I knew it was Volunteers Week, because it's a part of what I do. Just going out into the community, we get people to donate food, socks, toiletries. Toiletries is a really big deal in a facility of 65 women. We run through everything all day, every day. So and part of what I do is kind of sometimes the old-fashioned way, knock on doors to some of the small local Jamaica businesses, or sometimes it's partnerships through people I know, and they donate things. So that's just the gist of what we do, but it's so much more, so many more layers and so many other programs.
So how would someone, if they wanted to donate food or socks or toiletries or even money, what should they do?
They would contact me, since that is my department. They can contact me. Can give my email?
Yes, please.
So it's tgardner@voa-gny.org.
I think you should spell Gardner.
tgardner -voa
At.
tgardner@voa-gny.org.
Perfect.
And we're just located right in the Jamaica Armory on the 4th floor. It's still a operated army building, but they're gracious enough to let us utilize the 4th floor.
So let me ask another question. The women that come to you, do they come to you on their own, or are they sent, or referred to you through other programs?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. So single woman shelter, you have to go through 2 assessment shelters. There's one in the Bronx and there's one in Brooklyn. And through those 2 shelters, they could try to assess you. If you're employed, you would typically end up in my location. If you have mental health or physical disabilities, you may wind up at another shelter throughout the city. So there are 2 assessment shelters, and both of those shelters will try to steer you in the right direction.
Now, and are these women with children?
No, it's just for single adult women.
Okay.
So family shelters, they would go through the PAV system, and that's located in the Bronx.
Okay.
And through that system, they'll place throughout the city into an appropriate family shelter.
Now, what about volunteers like to, talk to the women about, eating healthy or, taking better care of themselves, or about employment, resume writing, things of that nature? How do you get assistance that way?
We just had an organization actually reach out to our HR department, and the HR department contacted me. It was International Fragrances, a big company that kind of makes different perfumes. Okay. A lot of labels we're all very familiar with. They're kind of produced in their warehouse and they distribute them. Needless to say, they contacted us because they wanted to give back to the community, and a bunch of them, maybe about 18 of them, had a whole big panel on resume writing and interview skills, and that was just 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So you could either come directly through my location, or sometimes people Google, they find HR, and then HR will point them to the appropriate program.
And so they actually show up at the Armory and do the training?
They showed up, they did the training. We accept most volunteers. We ask that everyone, of course, be over the age of 21 years old.
Okay.
And you fill out some paperwork, we check references, and it's just really that simple.
Okay. So you're watching the Nourish Spot Hour on Caribbean Buzz Radio. I'm Dawn Kelly, and I'm here with Katrina Barr and with Tanisha Gardner. So, Katrina, let's talk about some of your volunteer activities, because I know we go to the same church, the Greater Allen Cathedral.
Yay!
And as a result, and I gotta make you laugh, she lives a block away from the Greater Allen Cathedral. So, and her daddy is a member.
Yes, he is.
So, I know that you're involved in a lot of the organization, a lot of the ministries in the church. I know one is the women's women's ministry, and also you're in Rays of Faith, right? So talk to us about some of your volunteer activities, and why you're involved and why you think it's important to be a volunteer.
Well, service is the rent that I pay. And I have been part of the Raise of Faith HIV/AIDS ministry for, let's say, I'll just say over 10 years, probably close to 15. And I lost many members to the disease, the AIDS disease, back when we had crack epidemic and the sharing of the needles and things of that nature. And I lost about 7 family members. But that wasn't the only thing. It's the fact that there was an epidemic going on and people were not informed or educated to letting them know that you have to protect yourself and you have to be tested to know, testing and knowledge empowers, and knowing your status empowers you. So I am now the ministry coordinator. And with that, even today, we had seniors because over 50, 60, the rate of HIV is still increasing because they are not, people feel that, oh, I can't get pregnant, but you can still get an STI. You have people in their 80s who are just finding out they have it because things are happening within residential facilities, and I hear there's something now going on with the first of the month, the younger girls are meeting up with the guys, and there's just lots of things going on where we have to remain vigilant of sexual activities that go on in our community, because it is very, very important that you, one, know your status, and if you are positive, there's treatment, but you have to first get tested so you will know your HIV/AIDS status. I mean, amongst the other STIs and STDs.
And what are some of the other volunteer activities you're engaged in?
Well, right now we're in the midst of our women's season, and it's a season because it starts from, let's say, September on. We'll have our conference next week, actually. We'll be up in Connecticut, and that is a well-oiled machine that where Reverend Elaine Flake, she is our advisor for the women's ministry, and I am one of the supervising chairs in that. And I work with the concessions where everything that they wear, I work with that with the help of my advisor and my team. And also...
Is this one of the shirts?
That's one of the shirts.
I think this is one of the shirts. It says, fierce, fabulous, and forgiven. Yes.
Yes. So again, service is the rent that I pay, and I don't feel no ways tired, because how I get to do with this, with my business, with the work, only God. I have to give it. He gives me the strength to do it all, and I'm grateful.
You're watching Caribbean Buzz Radio at the Nourish, and this is the Nourish Spot Hour, and we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. We're back at the Nourish Spot Hour on Caribbean Buzz Radio, and I'm Dawn Kelly, joined by Katrina Barr and Tanisha Gardner, and we're talking about entrepreneurship and volunteerism because it's National Volunteer Week. But we're also going to have a little segment in a few minutes when Miss Sheila Saint-Festin calls, who's with LionGuard Tax Service, because I know you all know, but it's tax day on Monday, and if you're not ready, you may have some fees you're going to incur. So I thought it would be really special to have Sheila talk to us a little bit. It's going to be online, over the phone, but she's going to talk to us a little bit about what you can do to make sure that you don't get in trouble with Mr. IRS. But let's go back to Tanisha and talking about what's going on at the Armory and what's some of your proudest moments helping some of the ladies that are under your charge.
Proud moments. Well, recently we had one of our residents qualify for supportive housing for different things she has going on. And prior to her coming here, she tried on her own. Within about 3 weeks, with the help of the staff, she's got approved for supportive housing. So it's a big accomplishment for her.
Excellent.
And the next step is just finding her and securing her an apartment.
Okay.
And just getting people into apartments, period, because we all know how expensive New York rent is. $2,000, $2,200. So a lot of our residents are strapped for money, and it's so hard to find somewhere to live. So last month we had 8 people move out. We have a goal of 5 placements a month.
Okay.
Last month, we had 8. That's record-breaking
Yeah,
numbers for us.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm always proud when, even if it's just one person that moves out, but 8. So that was a big pat on the back for myself and the rest of the team there. And since housing is in my department, it's like, it's always, the pressure's always on to get these ladies housed. So.
Now, let me ask another question. So, you have to kind of build, like, strategic partnerships, right? You have to build networks in order to get these women housed. It's almost like, I mean, and I'm not involved, but it just seems to me that it's some kind of triage going on, right?
Yeah.
In order to get them to a place where they believe that they can actually take it on, you know, and then actually succeed with paying rent. So, you know, tell us about a typical day. Like, you know, what are you doing in order to put the necessary people in places and things in place to be able to impact these women's lives so positively?
So as far as building partnerships, we actually do hit the ground running in the community, knocking on doors, like I said earlier. A lot of our volunteers that come in, a lot of the community churches, I try to formulate partnerships with them in reference to the congregation. Who's a realtor? Who's a nurse? Who's an educator? Because we've had people come back to do tutoring. We've had people come back to teach our ladies on being present and presenting well when they do interview for housing. We've had New York Life Insurance come in and do workshops. That was also last month on saving money, even if it's $5 a week. So if you make one connection with someone, you can kind of build off of that. And when volunteers come in, you can kind of build off of that and see who they know and so forth. So that's pretty much how we make our partnerships with people. And then we have a great HR department who they have a whole team responsible for hitting up big corporations. For example, I'll just utilize Home Depot. That's not a partnership, but someone like that, HR will reach out to a big industry like that. That wouldn't be something that I would do. But if I did meet someone from Home Depot, then I have an inside track, and we could try to formulate something on that level. And
so another question I have, you know, there's a lot of building going on in Jamaica, right?
Yep.
I mean, I grew up here, right? And you did too, right?
It's unrecognizable.
Right? And Jamaica Avenue, like I remember when we had the L train and we had Mays and we had Macy's and we had Gimbals. Like we had all the nice stores. Like I was telling my daughter, you didn't even have to go to Manhattan to get shoes because the best shoes was on Jamaica Avenue, right? But now, and we had the most ornate movie theaters like the Valencia. I don't want the church to get mad at me, but we need that back. But anyway. I'm wondering, are you guys in talks with some of the developers about housing before these buildings actually go up and they giving away keys to people? Because it would seem to me the proximity of the Armory to just that
Across
big
the street.
monstrosity across the street, that big hole in the ground across the street, that there should be some thought given to places for these women to reside.
Absolutely. So there is a process to that also. Because we're in Community Board 12, I go to the Community Board meetings every month, right down 161st Street in Jamaica. So they already have the inside track on all the new buildings that are coming up, trying to connect locals and as well as the displaced people with housing. So it is a agreement there. I'm not going to say it's a written agreement, but it's an understanding that, you know, what about us? We're from the community. There's a shelter across the street. So that's already kind of put out there.
Okay.
But a lot of the apartments, unfortunately, are through the lottery system. And that's kind of exactly what it is. It's the lottery. So hopefully your number's called. But
Yeah.
we do have a connection. And hopefully we'll try to build on that and get some leeway.
Okay.
But it's difficult. It's difficult. It's supposed to be supportive housing and affordable housing. And affordable housing, affordable to who is the question.
Yes, that you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. You're
But
absolutely
it's
right.
still a work in progress, but we are, waving our hands and flagging them down, like, don't forget about us. And it's very important, not only for the community agencies to utilize community boards for the meetings, to know what's going on in their communities, but for the residents too, yeah.
You're watching the Nourish Spot Hour on Caribbean Buzz Radio. I'm hoping that Sheila gives us a call. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask my usual question because, again, what we do here is we talk about wellness as well. Oh, there we go. She's calling in. Speaker. Sheila? Hello, Sheila, is that you?
Yes.
How are you today?
I'm doing good, and you?
I'm doing well. You know that you're on the Nourish Spot Hour, and I have spoken with our viewers and our guests to let them know that you are Sheila Saint-Festin. You own the LionGuard tax service, and you and I met each other at one of the political clubs. And a note of transparency, she's my bookkeeper. And so I trust her implicitly. Now, Sheila, Monday is tax day. It's D-Day for most people. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that haven't started yet. What are some pointers for them, especially if they're going to miss the deadline on Monday?
Okay, so if you're going to miss the deadline on Monday for your personal taxes, and also for if you have a corporation, you could file an extension. However, extension does not give you the right to not pay taxes. You'll pay the amount of taxes you think you might owe, so you won't get a failure to pay and a failure to file penalty. So if you cannot file your taxes on time, you can file an extension and pay the taxes.
Now, what about if you're an individual? What about if you're an individual and
If you're an individual, go ahead.
if you're an individual and you haven't started your tax papers, what should you be thinking of doing today or early Monday?
Okay, if you feel like you cannot file on time, you can file an extension for your personal taxes, and you could pay the amount of taxes if you think you're gonna owe. You can pay the taxes, and you could file. It'll give you a 6 month automatic 6 month extension. So when you're ready, you could prepare all your documents, and you have until October to file the actual taxes.
Is there a certain form that you need to fill out, that extension? Is there a number to it?
Yeah. For your individual, it's a 4868.
And
This is, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. 4868.
4868 for individuals to file an extension.
And if you're a company, what should you be filling out?
If you're a C corporation, it's 7004. 7004.
And S corporation?
As corporations, that was March 15th, so it's kind of late. You can't file an extension for that, but it's the same form, 7004.
Okay. And are there any last minute pointers that you want to share with the audience about taxes?
Any last minute pointers are that I know that there's new tax laws, so some people might have sort some changes like a less refund or lesser withholding. Maybe they want to talk to the employer about maybe holding more withholding, so they might not owe next year. So this is some of my observations from this year and the changes in the tax law.
Okay, and if people want to get in touch with you going forward for your services, how would they reach you at LionGuard?
Okay, so my office number is 929-383-0381. And also, you can contact me by my email, Sheila, SHEILA, @LionGuardTaxService.com. And also, I have a website, www.LionGuardTaxService.com, and I'm on social media as well, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Thank you very much, Sheila. I appreciate you calling in. I know it's a really busy time for you right now. You got 48 hours between now and the end of tax season. So thank you very much for taking time out your schedule. The Nourish Spot Hour really appreciates you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Same to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was some interesting information. How about you ladies? You guys all got your taxes done?
Taxes done.
Not done. Not done. I was not worried until I heard from her. I feel like the pressure's on.
Well, listen, she's a really good, she does my books. She's a really good and honest young lady. And you know, I like to keep it in the family. So she's someone that I met and I've grown to trust her. And so I think that, she and I talked about this, and I said, there's a lot of people that's, sitting home like, oh, I don't know what to do. She said, I'll tell them what to do. So I'm glad that we got to do that. So before we end, I got one last question for you two ladies, because this is the Nourish Spot Hour. And I want to ask you, what do you do to nourish yourself? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Nourishing myself. I have a newfound love for planting. So I have a whole Instagram page dedicated to my plants. So that's how I nourish myself. As far as eating well is also, but what makes me feel good and cool and calm is planting.
So you're a gardener.
I'm a gardener, similar to my last name.
So tell me, what are you gardening? Are you gardening fruits and vegetables or flowers?
I have house plants, and I
Okay.
have tomatoes, red peppers, green peppers, and cucumbers.
Okay, you could, if you have too much, you can bring them on over to the Nourish Spot. Okay. And
I will do.
Thank you. And now you, Katrina, what do you do to nourish yourself?
Serve. That's the best thing that I could do, only because I get to do the skincare every day as far as the different scents that I incur and make. But I serve, and I do a holiday cheer at the VA in November. I'll be doing that for my 6th year. I go there because it's a residential over there on London Boulevard. And then I also, my last ministry is a Caribbean International Ministry, and we're getting ready for a fiesta on May 18th. So I serve.
Good, good. And how I nourish myself is with people like this. It's nourishing to me to get to know new people and to cultivate my relationships with the people that I already know and to share them with you. So, as I said earlier, this is the Nourish Spot Hour on Caribbean Buzz Radio. I'm Dawn Kelly. I want to thank Katrina and Tanisha and Sheila for taking the time to to share their stories and their talents with you. And we'll see you again next week. Thank you very much.